This is The Download from Sounds Profitable, your daily source for the essential news in the business of podcasting, brought to you by Spreaker from iHeart. I'm Gavin Gaddis, in for Tom Webster. Here's what you need to know for today, Wednesday, March 20th. First up, announcing OpenRAP, OpenWrap. Red Circle has debuted a new platform-agnostic product for delivering fully automated host-read podcast ads. As of today, OpenWrap, WRAP standing for Red Circle Ad Platform, is available to podcasters hosted on other platforms, allowing anyone to use vast connections, video ad serving template, to let WRAP handle ad insertion, measurement, and reporting. If fully enabled, OpenWrap aims to handle every aspect of securing a podcast ad deal, stressing that they're cutting out most of the email process so that the only engagement needed by the podcaster is uploading their read of the ad copy and signing off of when or where the campaign runs. Up next, a server anomaly that made it look like some advertisers were bidding billions of dollars sent the ad tech industry into chaos. Well, a bit of a strong headline. Last week, a 40-second server anomaly at PubMatic's supply-side platform caused a spike in CPMs that led to tens of millions of dollars in erroneous bidding. While the issue was resolved, with the bids still being just bids and no actual money transacted, it still had ripple effects across display advertising, with some publishers seeing numbers like $15 million in revenue self-correcting back down to $600. While not much, if any, financial impact will permanently take place because of this blip, it's worth noting for podcasting's ad tech side. As Brian Barletta covered in this week's Sounds Profitable newsletter, podcasting is held to an oddly higher standard than other sectors of advertising. Were such a blip to happen here, it could impart a stigma on podcast advertising for those on the fence or who have not yet given it a shot. Better to ruggedize our tech now and be the relatively squeaky clean bastion of advertising we are. Up next, BBC Radio to feature adverts in UK for the first time. The BBC has announced an upcoming proposal to introduce advertising on podcasts and on-demand radio content when they are accessed via third-party service, such as Apple Podcasts or Spotify. This would mark the first time BBC Audio would run third-party ads in the UK. The proposal will need approval from broadcasting regulator Ofcom. Some concern has been expressed for the future of the UK podcast advertising market if it were to take place. If it were to have all of the BBC's output as inventory as well. Insiders at the BBC propose that the presence of BBC content will help grow the overall UK podcast industry, as more brands will be enticed to try out podcast advertising with the assured confidence of running on a BBC-produced product. In the proposal, all BBC podcasts and on-demand radio would still be available ad-free in the UK if accessed through the official BBC Sounds app. Up next, Spotify is launching a new ad studio product. Spotify has announced a new product to help podcasters reach new listeners that fit the makeup of their existing audience. The new addition to Spotify's ad studio suite is dubbed Podcast Streams. The new product is powered by a model using behavioral signals in addition to standard targeting, with the goal of delivering podcast promos to engaged audiences. And finally, TikTok's podcast boom might be a bust. Between the platform's uncertain future and a lack of easy ways to track impact, some podcasters are not so sure the short-form video platform is as quick a ticket to success as originally advertised. NPR's Planet Money has built a successful platform on the app, mainly via skits explaining finance concepts instead of direct clips from the podcast. That said, it's hard to trace a line between their presence and direct download influence. Conversely, hosts like Christina Lumagi say their TikTok presence multiplies the number of listeners a given episode would get. Lumagi targets her core demographic on the app and produces intentionally casual content, leaning into the parasocial intimate relationship she's fostered with followers on the podcast. Podcasting's superpower of intimacy and authenticity can be leveraged elsewhere. As for the rest of the news, Jordan Fox is named the new CEO of Ad Results Media. Members of ACAST spoke on news and podcasting before British Parliament this week. Edison Research released the top new podcasts of 2023. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders is launching his own podcast. And Digiday research shows that direct sold and branded are the two lead ways publishers are looking to invest this year, which is good news for podcasting because we're great at both. Be sure to check out all the links to every article mentioned right in your podcast listening app or at soundsprofitable.com, where you can also subscribe to the newsletter version. The download is written and produced by Brian Barletta, myself, and Tom Webster. For Sounds Profitable, I'm Gavin Gaddis. Download us tomorrow.